In bustling Mexico City, Juan, a construction magnate, walks the streets of Polanco. His phone buzzes with alerts of his growing fortune, but his attention is diverted to Maria, a homeless woman seeking shelter in a doorway. Juan stops, his usual charity mixed with a bold proposal. "Mary, what if I offered you something more than alms?" Juan proposes, his voice firm but with a tremor of emotion. "I want you to have my child. In exchange, I will give you a new life, far from these streets." Maria looks at him, her face marked by distrust and fatigue. "Why me?" he asks, his eyes searching Juan's for a truth he can't find. "Because I need something that money can't buy," Juan responds, his gaze inscrutable. The agreement is sealed with a handshake, but Maria feels that she has sold more than her time, perhaps his soul. Juan's proposal was as unexpected as the cold that enveloped them that night. Maria, accustomed to the indifference of the big city, never thought that a man like Juan would offer her something more than a coin. But the promise of a different life, a chance for her son, was a temptation too great to ignore. "What does having a child really mean to you?" Maria asks, seeking to understand the real reason behind the proposal. "It's an opportunity to change, to leave something more than money in this world," Juan responds, his gaze now more human, more vulnerable. Maria, with her experience on the streets, knew that nothing was free. But in Juan's gaze she saw something that she had never seen in the eyes of those who passed by. A possibility not only for her, but for a future that she had never allowed herself to dream of. The night dragged on with their doubts, questions and the negotiation of an agreement that would change their lives forever. Juan offered him an apartment, medical care, and an education for the child. Maria, for her part, accepted with the condition that the child would always know the truth about his origin. That night, in the darkness of the city, an alliance was forged that went beyond the material. It was a commitment to humanity, love and redemption. But beneath the surface of this agreement were hidden secrets and expectations that only time would reveal. Maria's life, marked by struggle and survival, was about to cross paths with that of Juan, a man used to controlling his destiny with his wealth, but who now risked a game where the heart was the most important bet. And so, with a handshake and an unwritten pact, began a story of transformation, challenges and a family that would be formed in the most unlikely conditions. Maria moves to an apartment in the Roma neighborhood, a world apart from her life on the streets. The luxury and security are overwhelming, but each day brings the reality of your situation. Juan visits regularly, and each meeting is a mix of business and something deeper, human, that neither of them expected. The news of her pregnancy comes like a storm. Maria, accustomed to fighting, now faces an internal battle. Juan sees his plan taking shape, but he is not prepared for the feelings this awakens in him. Their lives begin to intertwine in unexpected ways, revealing the true cost of their agreement. With each visit, Juan brought more than just provisions. It brought curiosity, questions about Maria's life, about her dreams before the street devoured them. Maria, in turn, observed this man, so different from her, and began to see Juan not only as a benefactor, but as someone with his own hidden scars. The pregnancy progressed, and with it, the hospital visits. Each ultrasound was an encounter with an uncertain but hopeful future. Juan, always in control, now found himself in uncharted territory, where money could not guarantee the health or well-being of the life growing inside Maria. One night, after a medical emergency, Juan and Maria faced the truth. "I didn't think it would be so difficult," Juan confessed, his voice cracking with emotion. "Life is not a business, Juan," Maria responded, her hand on her belly, feeling the child's every movement. "It's a risk, a bet for love." The tension between them grew, not only because of Maria's health but because of the unexpected feelings that arose, challenging the initial agreement. Juan, who had always seen life as a series of transactions, found himself wanting something more, something he could neither buy nor control. Maria, for her part, began to see Juan not only as the father of her son, but as a companion on this unexpected journey. Their conversations became deeper, more personal, talking about their pasts, their fears, and their hopes for the child to come. In those moments of vulnerability, a connection was forged that went beyond what was agreed upon. Maria learned to trust, to dream again, while Juan discovered the humanity he had lost in his search for success. But with each passing day, the reality of his situation became clearer. Maria knew that although Juan offered her a future, the past was always just one step away, ready to remind her where she came from. Juan, on the other hand, was facing the fact that, for the first time, his wealth did not give him all the answers. Thus, with each beat of the boy's heart, both approached a point where they would have to face not only the medical challenges, but also the emotional and moral ones of their pact. The true test of their agreement was about to begin, and with it, the possibility of finding in each other what neither of them expected: a family. Maria's pregnancy progresses with complications that Juan's money cannot solve instantly. Hospital visits become routine, each one revealing more about the fragility of human life. Juan, who always controlled his environment with his wealth, finds himself disarmed in the face of Maria's vulnerability and the imminent arrival of the baby. One night, after a medical emergency, Juan and Maria have a confrontation. "I didn't think it would be so difficult," Juan confesses, his voice breaking. "Life is not a business, Juan," Maria responds, her hand on her belly, feeling the child's every movement. "It's a risk, a bet for love." The tension between them grows, not only because of Maria's health but because of the unexpected feelings that arise, challenging the initial agreement. The complication of Maria's health led Juan to face his own mortality and that of his loved ones. In those moments of uncertainty, his wealth was reduced to being a tool, not a definitive solution. Every day in the hospital, while they waited for the test results, Juan listened to Maria talk about her life, her losses, and the dreams she had abandoned. His story, so different from his, made him see life from a new perspective, where each moment was a gift, not a guarantee. Maria, watching him, watched as the tough, calculating businessman transformed into someone who genuinely cared. In his eyes, he saw fear, love, and a sadness that mirrored his own. "If something happens to me or the baby, promise me that you will take care of him, that you will give him a life full of love, not just things," Maria asked, her voice firm but charged with emotion. Juan nodded, unable to speak, feeling how the weight of that promise reconfigured his world. It was not just about ensuring a future for the child, but about being a father, a protector, a defender of the love he had begun to feel for Maria and for this being he did not yet know. When Maria was discharged, there was a palpable change in their relationship. Juan's visits were no longer just for health checkups. They were moments to share, to plan a future together that neither of them had planned. Now, with the birth getting closer, they were both faced with the reality that their agreement had evolved. It was no longer a contract, but a family that was formed from love, concern, and hope. Maria's life, once marked by loneliness and daily struggle, was now filled with expectations. Juan, for his part, found in this situation a redemption, an opportunity to be something more than a businessman, to be a father, a partner. But with each day that approached the birth, the tension increased. Could they really make this new dynamic work? Would Juan be able to leave behind his world of cold transactions to embrace the warmth of a family? And Maria, could she completely trust a future that had always seemed so far away? The answer would come with their son's first cry, a sound that promised to change their lives forever, uniting their destinies in a way they had not anticipated. The birth of the baby comes amid a chaos of emotions and worries. The girl, small and fragile, comes into the world with a condition that requires special care. Juan, who expected a symbol of his success, faces a reality that he cannot buy. Maria, now a mother, sees her daughter and feels a love that surpasses any agreement. Juan's desolation is transformed into a new determination, not only for the girl but for Maria, who has shown a strength that he never contemplated. The birth was a test of endurance for both of them. When the little girl, whom they decided to name Esperanza, was born, relief was mixed with concern. His special condition required constant attention, therapies, and a commitment that went beyond what one had anticipated. Maria, with the baby in her arms, felt an immediate connection, an unconditional love that filled her with new strength. He looked at Juan, watching his face go from surprise to a determination he hadn't seen before. "No matter what it costs, we're going to give her everything she needs," Juan said, his voice firm, his eyes fixed on little Esperanza. It was not just a promise of resources but of time, of heart, of life. The first days home were a whirlwind of doctor visits, learning how to manage Esperanza's condition, and adjusting to this new pace of life. Juan, who had always delegated tasks, now found himself changing diapers, learning about therapies and supporting Maria in her postpartum recovery. Maria, for her part, saw Juan with new eyes. His wealth was no longer just a tool, it was his ability to adapt, to love, and to be vulnerable that moved her. In every difficult moment, they found mutual support that strengthened their bond. One night, while Esperanza was sleeping, Maria and Juan talked about their fears and hopes. "I thought this would be different," Juan admitted, "but I never imagined it would be so real, so important." "Life is unpredictable, Juan," Maria responded, "but now we have something worth fighting for. Esperanza has given us a bigger reason to be better." With each day their relationship deepened, became more authentic. Juan began to understand that his success was not measured by his businesses, but by the moments shared with his daughter and Maria. The family they had formed was unconventional, but it was theirs, full of love, challenges and learning. However, the reality of raising a child with special needs was not easy. The long days, the sleepless nights, and the constant worry about Esperanza's future tested her patience and her love. But in each challenge they found a new way to support each other, to grow together. The community around them also began to change. Neighbors, friends, and even old acquaintances of Juan reached out, offering help, understanding, and acceptance. This showed them that although their situation was unique, they were not alone. Thus, in the midst of the chaos of their new life, Juan and Maria found a new purpose. It was no longer just about fulfilling an agreement. Now it was about building a life together, about being parents, about teaching Esperanza that, regardless of her challenges, she was loved, valued, and part of a family that would change everything for her. Juan and Maria adapt to their new life, marked by the routine of medical care and the fight for normality. Esperanza, named in honor of the hope she brought to their lives, becomes the center of their existence, transforming the arrangement into a family. Juan's relationship with Maria evolves. It is no longer just an agreement. There is respect, support, and, slowly, something that looks a lot like love. Every day brought new lessons and challenges. The therapist became part of the family, teaching Juan and Maria how to help Esperanza reach her full potential. Watching their daughter struggle but also overcome small obstacles, filled their hearts with pride and determination. Juan, who previously saw the world through his wealth, now found true value in the moments shared with his daughter and Maria. Business life, once her everything, was now just a means to ensure that Esperanza had everything she needed to grow and be happy. Maria, for her part, found an unexpected companion in Juan. Their relationship, forged in adversity, deepened with every Esperanza smile, with every achievement, no matter how small. Juan was not only a father. I was learning to be a husband, a friend, someone I could trust. One afternoon, while Esperanza was playing in the park, Juan sat next to Maria. "I never thought I'd find something so valuable," he murmured, looking at his daughter. "I thought money bought everything." Maria looked at Juan, her heart opening even more to him. "Money gave us the opportunity, but we are the ones who make this work," he responded, his hand reaching for Juan's, a gesture that said more than 1,000 words. In those quiet moments, the love that had started as a transaction became something genuine. The way Juan cared for Esperanza, how he encouraged her, how he participated in her care, showed Maria a man who was changing, not only for his daughter but for them as a family. But life was not just joy. There were nights of worry, days of uncertainty about Esperanza's future, and moments of exhaustion. However, it was in these challenges where Juan and Maria found their strength. Leaning on each other, they learned to celebrate small triumphs and face obstacles together. The community around them also reflected this change. Neighbors who previously only knew Juan because of his position now saw him as a dedicated father, a member of a family who fought and loved. Even in his business circle, Juan began to be seen in a new light, not just as a tycoon, but as someone with a heart and a cause. Every day, Juan and Maria became more committed to their new reality. The life they had built together was fragile, but also beautiful, full of love and hope. The girl they never planned to have had taught them what really mattered, not material goods but love, support and family. Thus, in the midst of the routine and chaos of raising Esperanza, Juan and Maria found a new reason to live, a new definition of success, and a silent promise to stay together, not because of an agreement but because of a love that grew. Day by day. One day, while Esperanza is receiving therapy, Juan has a revelation. He looks at Maria, watching her care for her daughter, and realizes that she has found something her fortune could never have given her: purpose and family. "What if we decided to be a real family?" Juan asks, his voice full of hope but also fear. Maria looks at him, her eyes reflecting the weight of her past and the light of her present. "Only if it's out of love, not an agreement," he responds, thus sealing a new pact, one based on the heart, not the contract. Juan's question floated in the air, loaded with meanings, promises and fears. Maria, who had lived with uncertainty and struggle for so long, felt her defenses crumble in the face of Juan's sincerity. His response was not immediate. It was a decision that involved leaving the past behind, trusting in an uncertain future but together. "Love cannot be bought, Juan. It is something that is felt, lived, built day by day," Maria said, her voice soft but firm. "If we are willing to build that, then yes, we can be a family." That moment marked a new beginning. Juan understood that it was not a business agreement, but rather an emotional commitment, a shared life. They decided then to formalize their relationship not with contracts, but with acts of love, support and sharing Esperanza's upbringing. The following days Juan and Maria focused on building that family. They began to plan together, to dream of a future where Esperanza had siblings, where laughter filled the house, where love was the basis of everything. Juan, accustomed to making unilateral decisions, learned to listen, value Maria's opinion and enjoy joint planning. Maria, who had been afraid to trust anyone after so many betrayals in life, found in Juan not only a companion, but a pillar of support. Watching him change diapers, attend Esperanza's therapy sessions, or simply play with her showed her a Juan she had never met before, one full of humanity. Family life became richer, fuller. Juan and Maria discovered that, although their love for Esperanza was unconditional, their love for each other also grew. It was not an instant love, but one that grew stronger with every challenge overcome, with every smile from Esperanza. One afternoon, while Esperanza was sleeping, Juan and Maria sat together, planning their first outing as a couple, something they had never really done. "I want it to be special," Juan said. "I want you to see that this is not just for Esperanza but for us." Maria smiled, her heart filled with a happiness she had never known. "It will be special because we are together," he replied, taking Juan's hand. Thus, step by step, they built a life that went beyond the initial agreement. Juan learned that true wealth was in the shared moments, in the laughter, in the tears and in the love that is given without expecting anything in return. Maria, for her part, found in Juan and Esperanza a family she never thought she would have, a reason to dream again. And although the road would not be easy with Esperanza as their light, Juan and Maria committed to being a family not only for appearances, but for a love that had sprung from adversity, growing strong and true every day. The lives of Juan and Maria become even more intertwined with the passage of time. Esperanza grows, and each day presents new challenges and joys. Juan, who once saw the world through his possessions, now lives for the moments shared with his daughter and Maria. One afternoon, while playing in the park, a group of children approaches Esperanza. The little girl's difference is evident, but instead of rejection, one of the children offers her his toy. Juan feels a wave of emotions. Society, which he always thought cold and calculating, shows its most human face through these little ones. The boy's gesture in the park was a reminder to Juan that, despite the difficulties, there was goodness in the world. Seeing how the children accepted Esperanza without judgment, simply as one of them, filled her heart with hope and gratitude. He shared a look with Maria, both moved by the simplicity and depth of that moment. Maria, watching the scene, thought about how much her life had changed. From loneliness and fighting in the streets to this moment where her daughter was accepted and loved. Juan's hand in his gave him a security he had never known. Together they could face anything. This incident in the park also had a profound effect on Juan. He began to see his role in the world differently. He was no longer just a businessman, he was a father, a husband, an active part of a community who could influence for the better. He decided that his fortune should not only serve his family, but also to help others in similar situations. The nights were now filled with conversations about how they could make a difference. Juan proposed the idea of a foundation that would support children with special needs and their families, providing not only financial resources but also emotional and educational support. Maria, with her experience and her heart, was instrumental in creating this vision. Together they planned how the foundation could be a beacon of hope, reflecting the love and acceptance Esperanza received every day. Over time the foundation took shape. Juan used his connections and resources to make it a reality, but it was Maria's spirit, her empathy and her vision, that really brought the project to life. Every time they saw a new family benefit they felt like their own story had a greater purpose. But not everything was easy. Raising Esperanza remained a constant challenge, and now with the foundation, their lives became even more full. However, in every difficult moment Juan and Maria found comfort in their love, in their commitment to each other, and in the joy of seeing Esperanza grow. One night, while Esperanza slept, Juan and Maria sat together, reflecting on their trip. "I never thought we would find so much in the midst of so much challenge," Juan said, his voice full of emotion. "It's because we found what really matters," Maria responded, resting her head on Juan's shoulder. "We found ourselves, we found each other, and through Esperanza we found a family." In that moment they understood that life was not about avoiding challenges, but about facing them together, with love, with hope, building a legacy that went beyond themselves. The family they had created was not perfect, but it was theirs, and in every day, in every Esperanza smile, they found the reason to move forward together. Maria, now with a dual role of mother and partner, faces her own past. One afternoon, while Esperanza sleeps, she sits down with Juan to tell her story, the years on the street, the broken dreams and the fight to survive. Juan listens, not as a benefactor, but as someone who has found his place in the world through the family they have created. "Thank you for trusting me," he says, and in his words there is a recognition of everything they have overcome together. Maria's confession was like opening a box of painful but necessary memories. He described cold nights on the streets, the daily struggle for food, the loss of friends whose future life had been stolen by street life. Juan listened, his heart tightening with each word, understanding for the first time the depth of the sacrifice Mary had made to get to this point. "I never thought I would have a family, a home, a purpose," Maria admitted, her voice breaking. "I lived one day at a time without hope." Juan, moved by Maria's vulnerability and strength, hugged her. "Now you have Esperanza, you have us. You are the heart of this family," he told her, his voice a whisper of support and love. That moment of sharing their past not only strengthened their bond, but also inspired Juan to do more. She decided that the foundation would not only help with material things, but would also be a place where stories like Maria's could be heard, validated and healed. Over time, Maria began to participate more actively in the foundation, sharing her experience to help other families. Her presence was a beacon of hope for those who saw in her a reflection of their own struggle. Seeing how her story inspired others gave Maria a new sense of purpose and healing. Juan, for his part, found himself transformed. He no longer saw Maria only as the mother of his daughter, but as a life partner, a survivor, a leader. The admiration he felt for her grew with each day, seeing how her past gave her the strength to face the present and build the future. Together, they began organizing events where families could come together, share their experiences and support each other. At one of these events, Maria spoke for the first time in public about her life before meeting Juan and Esperanza. His speech was one of the most emotional moments, filling the room with tears and applause. "We all have a story," Maria said, "but what matters is how we decide to live it afterward. Each of us can find strength in community, in love, in family." That day, Juan looked at Maria with a pride that he could not express in words. He had seen the woman he loved transform before his eyes, not only into a mother and companion, but into a voice for the less heard. The night after the event, while Esperanza slept, Juan and Maria talked about the future. "I want you to know that I will always support you no matter what," Juan said, his commitment renewed. Maria smiled, her heart filled with a love that had grown through pain and healing. "And I will always be by your side, Juan, because together, we can make the world a little better for Esperanza and for all the children who will come." Thus, in the stillness of their home, they built a fortress of love and hope, not only for themselves but for all those who, like them, were looking for a second chance, a new beginning, a family. Continue maintaining emotional depth, following the structure we have already defined without losing connection with the previous part, maintaining the average number of characters requested by the user. Responder. Maria's statement echoed through the room, silencing the cameras and the murmurs. It was an affirmation of their truth, a defense of their love and the life they had built together. Juan, feeling the weight of Maria's words, was filled with a pride that surpassed any financial achievement he had achieved. The press, always looking for a sensational story, was momentarily speechless. But Maria's truth, the authenticity in her voice, was palpable. It wasn't a charity show, it was the story of two people who, despite their differences and an initial agreement, had found love in its purest and most complicated form. After the event, reactions were mixed. Some applauded Mary's bravery and sincerity, others questioned Juan's motivation. But for Juan and Maria, what mattered was the truth they had shared, not public perception. That night, while Esperanza slept, Juan and Maria reflected on what had happened. "No matter what they say," Juan said, "what we have is real. You meet Esperanza. We are a family." Maria, still with the echo of his statement in her mind, nodded. "Yes, we are a family," he replied, "and nothing can change that." The event had an unexpected effect. Not only did it solidify their relationship in the eyes of the world, but it also attracted more support for their foundation. People from all over the country began to donate, not only money, but also time and resources, inspired by the story of Juan and Maria. However, public exposure also brought challenges. Maria's private life, which she had fought so hard to rebuild, was now under everyone's scrutiny. Juan, determined to protect his family, took measures to ensure their privacy, but also to continue his work with greater strength. Over time, the couple learned to navigate the fame their situation had generated. They used this platform to advocate for the rights of children with special needs, to educate the public about the importance of inclusion, and to share their journey as a lesson in love and resilience. One afternoon, while they were planning the foundation's next event, Maria looked at Juan with a smile. "We've gone from being a headline to being an inspiration," he said. Juan laughed, taking her hand. "And all thanks to you, Maria. Your bravery, your love. You have shown us all what a family can be." Thus, what began as an agreement had become a narrative of union, change, and true love. Juan and Maria, now stronger than ever, continued their lives with Esperanza, not only as a family but as a beacon of hope for others, proving that the true value of life is in the bonds we form and the love we give and receive. Life goes on, and Esperanza begins to show signs of progress in her therapy. The community around Juan and Maria has expanded, not only with friends and neighbors, but also with other parents facing similar challenges. Juan proposes an idea: create a foundation that not only supports financially but also offers emotional and community support for families like his. Maria, seeing the opportunity to give to others what she found, enthusiastically accepts. Esperanza's progress filled Juan and Maria with unspeakable joy. Every small achievement, from a new sound to a stronger step, was celebrated as a victory. But what moved them most was seeing their daughter become more and more integrated into the community, accepted and loved by those around her. Juan's proposal to expand the foundation was a reflection of his personal and family growth. It was not just about providing resources, but about building a support network where families could find comfort, understanding, and friendship. Maria, who had experienced the loneliness of fighting, understood the importance of this initiative. Together they began to structure the foundation. Juan provided the logistical and financial part, while Maria, with her experience and her heart, focused on creating emotional support programs and community activities. They wanted the foundation to be a place where families not only received help, but also felt part of something bigger, a community. The foundation's first meeting was a moment of hope. Families who previously felt isolated found themselves in a space where their experiences were understood. Maria spoke with passion, sharing how they had transformed her life and how they hoped to do the same for others. "Everyone here has a struggle," Maria said, "but together we can turn that struggle into something beautiful like we have done." The response was overwhelming. Volunteers volunteered, donations poured in, and soon the foundation was not only providing financial support, but also hosting events where children could play without judgment, where parents could share their fears and hopes, and where everyone could learn from each other. One night, after one of these meetings, Maria and Juan sat down to reflect. "Looking at you today," Juan said, "makes me think about how much you have changed not only our lives, but the lives of so many other people." Maria smiled, looking at the photos of Esperanza and the children from the event. "It's thanks to Esperanza, you, and everyone who has believed in us. This foundation is our way of giving back a little of the hope they have given us." The foundation's impact extended beyond expectations. Stories of transformation began to emerge, of families who found in the foundation not only help, but also a new sense of community and belonging. Juan, who had always measured his success in financial terms, now saw it in the eyes of smiling children, in the gratitude of parents, and in the happiness of his own daughter. Maria, for her part, found a new vocation, a mission that filled her with purpose beyond her own family. Thus, in the midst of their daily lives, Juan and Maria continued to weave a network of love, support, and hope. The foundation became a testament that even in the darkest times, community and love can light the path to a better life, proving that true legacy is built not with money, but with heart. The foundation begins to take shape, with Juan and Maria at the helm. But their relationship is not without challenges. An argument arises over how to run the foundation, revealing differences in their visions of the future. However, in the heat of the argument, they find themselves in silent agreement. Their love for Esperanza and their commitment to the cause unites them beyond any disagreement. That night, while Esperanza sleeps, they reconcile, understanding that their relationship is their greatest strength. The discussion had begun with a disagreement over the direction the foundation should take. Juan, with his financial mind, saw the need for expansion, to make the foundation larger to reach more families. Maria, on the other hand, insisted on maintaining the focus on the quality of emotional and community support, fearing that excessive growth could depersonalize the mission. Words were exchanged, each defending their point of view passionately. But in the midst of the debate, they realized that their differences were not a weakness but a strength. Juan admired Mary's empathy and humanity. She appreciated Juan's vision and ability to act. When the tension reached its peak, Juan stopped, looked at Maria and said, "We both want the same thing, we just see it from different angles. What matters is that we are in this together." Maria, with tears in her eyes, nodded. Our strength is our union, our family. We cannot let our differences separate us. That night, after Esperanza fell asleep, Juan and Maria sat on the couch, the silence between them filled with unsaid but understood words. Juan took Maria's hand, looking at her with a mixture of regret and love. Forgive me, Juan whispered, for losing sight of what really matters. Maria moved closer, resting her head on Juan's shoulder. There is nothing to forgive. We are a team and together we will find balance. For Esperanza, for the foundation, for us. They then decided to work on a plan that combined both approaches. The foundation would grow, yes, but without losing its essence. They implemented programs where families could actively participate, offering not only financial and therapeutic support but also empowerment and resilience workshops. This event not only strengthened their relationship, but also taught them the importance of communicating openly, listening, and valuing each other's perspectives. One learned not to underestimate the value of human connection, while Maria saw how efficiency and planning could amplify her impact. Over time, the foundation became a model for how working together can overcome differences. Community events became more frequent, more inclusive, and Mary's voice, united with John's vision, inspired many. One afternoon, while they were watching Esperanza play with other children at one of the foundation's events, Juan looked at Maria. We are stronger together, he said, his voice full of certainty. We always have been, Maria responded, her hand seeking Juan's, a gesture of unity that needed no words to be understood. Thus, in the quiet of their home with Esperanza's laughter in the background, Juan and Maria committed themselves even more to their cause, to their love, understanding that each challenge was an opportunity to grow not only as individuals, but as a family, and as leaders of a community that changed lives. Years later, we see Esperanza on her first day of school, surrounded by her parents and a supportive community. Juan and Maria are together, not as the individuals they were at the beginning of this story, but as a family forged by love, resilience, and a shared purpose. The camera zooms out as they watch Esperanza enter the classroom, their hands clasped, symbolizing a new beginning not only for their daughter, but for themselves in a world they have helped change for the better. Esperanza's first day of school was a testament to the long journey Juan and Maria had taken together. Watching her daughter, now a vibrant and curious little girl, cross the school's threshold was like seeing a dream come true. The community they had built around the foundation was present, not only to support Esperanza, but to celebrate this milestone with them. Fathers and mothers who had been touched by the foundation, now close friends, applauded and encouraged Esperanza, demonstrating that love and support can create a family far beyond blood. Juan, with a mixture of pride and nostalgia, held Maria's hand tighter. We've done this together, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Every step, every challenge has brought us here. Maria, looking at Esperanza with tears of happiness, nodded. And this is where a new adventure begins, not only for her but for us. We will continue to be her fortress, her home. The school had worked with the foundation to ensure that Esperanza had all the necessary accommodations, but beyond that, what really mattered was the environment of acceptance and love that Juan and Maria had helped foster. Esperanza's classmates, already familiar with her through community events, welcomed her enthusiastically. When Esperanza disappeared into the classroom, Juan and Maria stayed for a moment, hugging each other, feeling the weight of the moment. They had transformed their lives, their hearts, and now they saw how their daughter began to chart her own path, supported by a network of love that they had woven together. That day they returned home with a feeling of fulfillment. The house, which was once just a space, was now a home full of memories, laughter, and learning. That night, as they prepared dinner, they talked about how their lives had changed since that encounter on the streets of Polanco. I never imagined that an agreement could lead to this, Juan reflected, looking at Maria with a smile. Because it wasn't just an agreement, Maria responded, it was the beginning of something much bigger. We found each other, we found Esperanza, and we found a community. Together they planned the future not only for themselves and Esperanza, but for the foundation to continue expanding its impact. Juan spoke of new initiatives and Maria of more emotional support programs. Their vision was now one, nurtured by years of personal and family growth. Thus, in the stillness of their kitchen with the aroma of dinner filling the air, Juan and Maria committed themselves once again to their mission. Their story, which began with an unexpected deal, had blossomed into a legacy of love, resilience, and hope, proving that even from the most unlikely circumstances, a family, a life, and a better world can emerge for everyone. Life teaches us that from pain the deepest love can be born, that from the most unexpected decisions families can emerge that change the world. If this story of resilience, love and hope has touched your heart, leave your comment below. Tell us how this narrative has resonated with you. If you haven't already, give it a like so that more people can find this message of unity and love. Subscribe to our channel to be part of our community and experience more stories that will make you believe in human goodness. And now, don't miss your chance to see how this new family faces the future. On our final screen, an exciting new story awaits you, where every second counts to discover the transformative power of love. Do you dare to continue this adventure with us? Don't go. Click here to immerse yourself in a world where every challenge is an opportunity to love more deeply.